Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 7-game NBA main slate on Tuesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make content for Prize Picks, for NBA Top Shot, and for Daily Fantasy Sports. Premium content, I do offer that on patreon.com for more in-depth analysis, for more in-depth content on DFS. My Patreon is linked down below. Cover the main and the late showdown slate if that's something that interests you. And guys, the sponsor of this video is Roast Umber. So if you guys are a coffee lover, you got to give it a try. Again, it is super, super smooth. Love the coffee. Love the nitro, which again, I'm drinking at least one of these every single day. But yeah, they have a lot of different options. You can do a bundle as well. So you can use my discount code DKDFS for 20% off your order. And again, guys, you will not be disappointed. Check them out. Okay, so let's take a look back lineup here from tonight. So tonight was kind of a swing and a miss night for me. So let's go over my lineup. I went to a low own, extremely low own Cade Cunningham, massive foul trouble. Kuzma was relatively popular, around 20%. He had a floor game. The Bucks guys were fine, but they got blown out on the road to the Blazers. Really did not expect that. So again, Drew, Nwora, Portis, and Ibaka were all kind of just fine. Io, kind of the same thing, just hit value, nothing crazy. And then I have Reggie Jackson at relatively low ownership, doing really, really well. But yeah, one of my hot takes tonight was, I liked Grimes in cash, but I thought he was going to be very over-owned in tournaments, and I really liked fading him in GPPs. And sure enough, I checked the game with like 5 minutes in. He has like 2 threes already. He had like 2 steals and a block, and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, my night's over because I faded a chalk Quentin Grimes. But yeah, my reasonings for wanting to fade him in tournaments was Quentin Grimes. Well, number one, Tom Thibodeau, right? He is a guy that really outside of Randall and RJ Barrett this year, he has gone with a hot hand. So sure, we had seen Grimes play 30+ minutes the last couple of slates. And again, I told everyone to play Grimes in cash. But I wasn't convinced. I was like, if Grimes struggles, they could easily go to Quickly. They could go to Cam Reddish, right? We have just seen that from Thibodeau all year. So, a low usage guy like Grimes that really needs the minutes to have like that massive upside. Again, obviously it was a good value at the flat man price, but to really break the slate, he needed those big minutes. So yeah, that was my reasoning for fading him. Again, it did not work out. Took the L on that, but I really liked some of these 4K value plays like Zubac and Terence Manning at low ownership because I knew everyone was just going to jam in Grimes, jam in Nwora, right? They're going to jam in those 3K guys, which left the 4K value guys really low owned. So that ended up working. And the fade in Grimes, not so much, but it is what it is. Again, I'm shooting for first in first place. I'm shooting for first in GPPs, right? So I'm willing to take risks like that. It worked out in a massive way about a week and a half ago when we faded. We went to Terry Taylor at extremely low ownership over Isaiah Jackson. And would have won $20,000 too if James Harden went for like 50 fantasy points. But he went for like 29 in that game. So I'm still not over that one, guys. That one really hurt. But yeah, that was it for the look back again. Took the L tonight. High stakes. I was taking a look at some ownership. Terence Manning, another guy that I like. He had a really, really good game so far. 36 fantasy points. Let's see. Patty Mills was massive chalk. He was a huge bust. 55% owned there in high stakes, and this is a $2,000 entry. But the winning lineup here: Kemba low ownership. Grimes, who was very popular. Seth Curry had a good game. Randall, Drummond, Drew, Middleton, and Kobe White. So that is it for the look back, guys. Hoping to bounce back on this 7-game slate. So we'll start off with Cleveland and Atlanta. So we do have news that Darius Garland is back. Now, we haven't seen anything of a limitation. He's missed a good amount of games recently with this back injury. So keep an eye on this. If we get confirmation there's no limit, I think Garland's a pretty good play. If we get news that he's limited, then I'm probably not going to go there. But yeah, 7-4 does feel too cheap if he's going to get his normal minutes. And with Garland back, kind of takes LeVert out of play for me, who should shift back to the bench role. And then the bigs, we have Allen, we have Mobley, Love. All three are in play for me. But A little bit hard to try to nail down who it's going to be that has like the really big night, right? It's been Allen recently. We've seen a couple pretty big games from him. 62, 40, 39, 46, and 4 of the last 5. But we know Kevin Love has upside when the minutes are there. Obviously, he only played 17 minutes last game, but like we've seen some 40 bombs from him when he plays, 25 to 30 minutes. His price has gone down a little bit. We know the upside's there in Mobley as well. So I think all 3 bigs in play for me for tournaments, but I don't know if I get to anyone else. Rondo's had a couple big games, but now, again, we do have Garland back. So Rondo probably just back to maybe 15-ish minutes off the bench. Okoro, I mean, he's a low-usage guy, a fair value play. Right? Okoro, in my opinion, is a pretty similar play to what Quentin Grimes was tonight, right? A guy that probably plays over 30 minutes and, looks like a relatively safe value, but low usage guy, and he needs the minutes to be there. All right, let's move on to Atlanta. So we have John Collins out, but Bogdanovic status up in the air, so keep an eye on that one. Trae Young, tough spot, but the price had come down a little bit to him at only 9.3. So, the tough matchup kind of counteracts this price point. So I like Trae at 9.3. I think he's a pretty good play, even in a tougher spot. No, Bogdanovic is questionable. Bogdanovic is out. I think that kind of solidifies the minutes for this grouping of like Herter, Hunter, and Gallinari. We saw Gallinari start last game. We saw Hunter play big minutes, 38. Again, Gallinari had a bad game, but if he starts again, I think he is definitely in play. And then, Herter probably gets that bump if Bogdanovic out, minutes bump. And then we did see Clint Capella play a good amount more with Collins out. We saw him play 31 minutes instead of, he's been hovering around 20 minutes for the last 2 weeks or so. But we know Capella is a good rebounder, a pretty solid point per minute guy. And if he's going to play around 30 minutes, I think 5.3 is too cheap for him. So I do like Capella a good amount there at that price point. Again, Okongwu will play the backup 5. He'll probably see close to 20 minutes. You can go to him in a GPP setting, but that's really it for the Hawks. Dallas and Miami, so tough matchup here. But Luka is just on, again, over the last 3 weeks or so, Luka's been phenomenal. If you just take a look at his box scores, 71, 71, 79, 53 in a game where he didn't really play the second half. 65, 75, 76. So just playing some great basketball. But again, this is a tough spot. Now we do have Jimmy Butler status up in the air. If Jimmy Butler can't go, maybe a slight boost to a guy like Luka Doncic. But I think he is still in play even in the tough matchup. Now, we do have Dinwiddie, who's going to be available in this game. I'm not sure what the minutes going to look like for him. I would guess the minutes tick down a bit for Brunson. Low usage guys like Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith probably lose a couple of minutes. Maybe we see Bertans in this rotation. As far as the bigs go, with Kleber and Powell, they're playable low 20s minutes, but outside of Luka, I don't think there's anything that really stands out. Now, on the Miami side, we do have Tyler the Hero out, and we have Jimmy Butler status up in the air. So if Jimmy Butler cannot go, I think Bam Adebayo and Kyle Lowry both look pretty good. We should see mid 30s minutes from Bam, and Lowry probably plays big minutes as well and should have to do more offensively if there's no Jimmy. So those two are going to look really good if Jimmy Butler's out. And then this grouping of Robinson and Vincent and Tucker and Struss all should get more run if Jimmy Butler can't go. Now, if Jimmy Butler plays, I think, Jimmy and Bam probably are the top options here. Jimmy, numbers-wise, has been a little bit up and down, 41, 28, 52, and 23. But we know he's a guy that, he has 50-plus fantasy point upside. But all right, let's move on to Boston and Philadelphia. So, tougher spot here for both. I mean, neither team really plays at a super fast pace. On the Boston side, we have Tatum and Brown at the top. It was Tatum in the big game last game, but I think I slightly prefer Brown for the discount at only 8.3K. As far as Robert Williams goes to 7.4, I mean, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's probably playing mid-30s minutes, but this is a tough spot here against Embiid. Marcus Smart should play mid-30s minutes. I think he's a pretty safe play, a guy that can stuff a stat sheet. Over 13, 6, and 7 last game. We have seen Derek White play pretty well off the bench in his first couple games here for Boston, 28 and 29 minutes. I think he's a pretty decent option as well. It does have shooting guard eligibility, which is nice. Horford at 5.4, if Robert Williams gets in foul trouble, I would assume they try to throw Horford on Embiid. I mean, maybe they can throw Grant Williams. They don't have a lot of options. I would assume Horford's the next bet. So you could theoretically maybe play Horford and hope that Robert Williams gets in some foul trouble so Horford gets more run at the 5. I don't think it's the worst idea in a tournament setting. On the Philadelphia side, Joel Embiid, same thing I'll say about Luka Doncic. I mean, he's just playing unbelievable basketball right now. He went for 40, 14, 10, and 3 last game against Cleveland. So I mean, Joel Embiid just looks really, really good here. As far as the secondary options, I don't know if there's anything that stands out. Tobias Maxey, both neutral plays. Thibault, again, good defender, but not really a high upside guy. Shake Milton has kind of struggled off the bench in his first couple games, but I think he's in play in a larger field tournament. I do think we get Millsap playing the backup 5 at 3.4K. Like, if we get 15 minutes from Paul Millsap, even though he's dust, right? He's completely dust at this point in his career. He's not a bad point per minute guy, right? Like 19 minutes here against Houston, 23 fantasy points, 19 minutes here, 27. So if we get like 15 minutes from Paul Millsap, I don't think I'm playing him in cash games, but I think you can consider him in a GPP setting. Moving on to Indiana, Milwaukee. So Pacers are a team that are shorthanded and could be more shorthanded if Brogdon can't go. He's been questionable last couple games. So I would assume he's getting closer to a return. But yeah, Brogdon is out. I mean, Halliburton and Buddy Hield are going to play huge minutes. We saw 40 and 41 minutes from Halliburton first couple games. We've seen massive minutes from Buddy Hield as well, 40 minutes in back-to-back games. So I think those two look really good here, especially if Malcolm Brogdon is out. And then we also saw Chris Duarte is out. They started the second half Jalen Smith. So if Jalen Smith starts this game, I think he makes her pretty good value. Another good point per minute guy that's actually been playing the 4 for the Pacers. Shea Bursat, another guy that's playing massive minutes, 38 and 37 minutes. I think he looks pretty good. Really a lot to like here for the Pacers, especially if Brogdon is out. They're just running a very, very tight rotation. Now, the center position is where it gets tricky, right? Goga's been starting, but not playing a ton. 10, 19 minutes. They have Terry Taylor they can use. They have Tristan Thompson that's been dusted off a couple games and played like 15 minutes, but I don't really want to go there. They can also play Jalen Smith at the 5 for little if they want. So I don't know if we get to the centers really outside of Smith, again, who's been playing more at the 4 so far for the Pacers. And then if there's no Brogdon, I think you can consider Lance Stevenson, who played 32 minutes last game. We know, like, when the minutes are there for Lance, he's the guy that's going to produce. So I'm intrigued by him for a 4K, especially if there's no Malcolm Brogdon, right? Now, if Malcolm Brogdon's in, that's where things get tricky, right? So it's like, all right, if he's in, are they just going to start Brogdon? I would guess they start Brogdon at the 1, Halliburton at the 2, Hield at the 3, Brissett, and then Goga, and bring like Jalen Smith off the bench. But yeah, Brogdon's in again. It's just going to make everyone a little bit riskier. And then we'll have to keep an eye on Brogdon news to see if there's any sort of limitations for him. On the Milwaukee side, what I heard, I think Giannis is going to be out until after the All-Star break. So I don't believe he's going to be available for this game, which is going to make these Bucks guys look really good once again. I know they lost, at home against Portland, but I don't really care too much. Again, it's just a massive usage bump for the main 3 guys in Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Bobby Portis, who I think all 3 look really, really solid here in a good matchup against the Pacers. Grayson Allen probably plays around 30 minutes. He's a fair value play. The only downside is he is scoring dependent. And then we saw Serge Ibaka start, and he played 31 minutes. So if Serge Ibaka starts again, I think he looks really good. So a lot to like here for the Bucks. Basically the whole starting 5 looks good. And then I have some interest in Jordan Nwora off the bench, who played 24 minutes. I think he gets low 20s and is in play at the flat min. So there's a good amount to like here for the Bucks. We did see Greg Monroe still in the rotation. He put 11 minutes, but I don't think I would go. Like, if I'm going to take a shot in one of these cheap value plays, I think it's going to be Jordan Nwora. All right, Charlotte, Minnesota. So there should be 0, and I mean 0 defense played in this one. So a good amount to like on both sides. I think the main 3 guys here, LaMelo, Rozier, Bridges, all look pretty good for tournaments. It's been Rozier last couple games. It has had the upside 66 in back-to-back games. We know LaMelo has gone for 60, though, in 2 of the last 3 as well. So they have massive upside. We've seen some big games from Bridges. Haven't really seen a big game from him late, but we know that is in the realm of possibility. So I think the main 3 guys for Charlotte all look pretty good in a great matchup. My only issue with going to these guys in a cash game is, like I said, they can kind of fluctuate. I think the one guy to consider of the 3 in cash would probably be LaMelo Ball. Now, Oubre, again, he's been in foul trouble a lot recently, but I would assume he continues to start and probably play over 30 minutes, which makes him playable. As far as the bigs go, Plumlee at 5'3", I mean, he's going to split time with a guy like Montrezl Harrell, who did play a good amount last game, played 29. We know Harrell's a good point per minute guy. I think he is viable at that price point. And then PJ Washington at 5K probably sees 25-ish minutes, but it does feel a little bit pricey. And we should see some run for Bouknight as well. He's been playing around 20 minutes, 11 shot attempts too in both those games, which is good to see. Like, he's being aggressive on the offensive end. So I do think he's in play at a close to min price salary. On the Minnesota side, so as you know, the big three, kind of like Charlotte. It's like, all right, well, one of these guys is most likely, or, probably going to have a good game, but trying to figure out who it's going to be is pretty tough. Now, I finally got Anthony Edwards right last game, who went absolutely off, but I also played Cat with him, and Cat got massive foul trouble. So, I mean, I think the big three all look good, and Cat and Edwards and D'Angelo Russell. I don't really have any strong leans on these three, but I think they all look really good in a great matchup. I think all three play 35-plus minutes here. I think Patrick Beverley is a very safe play. Like, he's going to play around 30. We know his role. It's a pretty high floor. I think he's a very, very safe play. The minutes have been trending down at Vanderbilt a bit. The prices also come down a bit as well. I think he's more of a GPP play. The run of Taurean Prince for that week-long stretch where he's averaging like 40 fantasy points is thankfully over. McDaniels at 3.5. I mean, he'll be in the rotation. Probably see somewhere around low 20s minutes. Naz Reid will play the backup 5. Again, he got extended run last game because of Cat foul trouble. We know he's a good point from a guy. But if Cat stays out of foul trouble, he's probably only playing, 10 to 12 minutes. Memphis and New Orleans. So the big news here is Ja Morant's currently questionable. So, like, if Ja can't go here, obviously it's a usage bump to the likes of, like, Bane and Triple J. And then I think it's a pretty big minutes bump and obviously usage bump as well for the likes of Melton and Tyus Jones. So those are the two I think get the biggest minutes bump if Ja Morant can't go, or Tyus and Melton. And yeah, usage bump also to Triple J and Desmond Bane. Now, Ja Morant, if he plays and there's, he's good to go, I think he's perfectly fine at 9.5K. No real strong lean there. I think he's, again, definitely viable. Now, can we talk? I swear there's just no way this happened. This did not happen, right? I was looking at this before I made my video. I was just like, this has to be an error. There's just no way this is a correct stat line. I refuse to believe that Steven Adams did this, okay? If you're looking at it, you're like, all right, you went for 15, 11, 4, and 3. You're like, oh, that's definitely an outlier game for Steven Adams, but, possible, he's a good rebounder, whatever, it's possible. And then I see it was in 16 minutes. 16 minutes for Steven Adams. He fouled out and went for 42 fantasy points in 16 minutes. Just like think about that for a second, right? Just really think about that. That's like almost 3 fantasy points a minute for Steven Adams. I don't know what's gotten into him over the last few games, but yeah, he's been playing really well. It is a revenge game narrative if you're into that, but Clark will play the backup 5. Again, more of a GPP play. And like I said, Melton, Tyus Jones, probably not going to play them if Ja plays, but if Ja misses, those guys get a pretty big bump. On the Pelicans side, I don't know if there's anything that stands out, but like the big three now of like Ingram, CJ, and Valanciunas, I think are all in play. It is a revenge game narrative for Jonas Valanciunas, who's been consistently playing low 30s minutes. I think it's a pretty safe option. Ingram, CJ do have upside, but I don't know if there's one play that really stands out of that 3. Hernan Gomez too pricey. Herbert Jones feels priced about right. Same with Devontae Graham. Hayes coming off the bench again feels a little pricey. So outside of the big 3 of Ingram, CJ, and JV, I don't think I get to anyone else on this New Orleans team. And finally, the Clippers and the Phoenix Suns. So I like the Clippers once again. They're running over the last couple games. They're running an extremely tight rotation. We did see Luke Kennard miss the game tonight too. So Reggie, Morris, Mann, Zubac, and Nick Batum started. They all played pretty big minutes. I like them all, even though it's a tougher matchup. If we're going to get like 40-ish minutes from Reggie and Marcus Morris, I think they both look good. We're seeing massive minutes from Terence Mann. He's also playing some backup point. And then Ivica Zubac has played really well over the last couple of games. So a lot to like for the Clippers if you think this game can stay competitive. Covington was playing a little bit more. I want to see what he finished with minutes-wise tonight. The game's in the fourth quarter right now. And then Amir Coffey at 3.6. Playable. Again, Hartenstein will play the backup 5, playable, but more for GPPs. And finally, the Phoenix Suns. So we have Chris Paul 8.8, Devin Booker 8.4. I mean, the price has come down on both these guards. I think they're both still in play here, but I don't know if they're going to continue to play like 40 minutes a game like they have been for like a 3-week stretch, because they're just a little bit healthy. They have more bodies in their rotation, right? They have Torrey Craig. Basically, basically fully healthy outside of Cameron Payne. But yeah, revenge game narrative here for Chris Paul. So 8.8K. I don't think he'll be super popular, but does have upside. Devin Booker at 8.4 does feel like a pretty good price point for him. Always like his upside in GPPs. DeAndre Ayton at 6.6. I mean, I like the spot for him. He should play around 30 minutes. I do think that's a little bit too cheap. The wings and like Bridges, Crowder, Craig, Cam Johnson. I don't know if there's anything that really stands out here. Again, we did see Craig play 23 minutes. So, the minutes went a tick down a bit for some of these wings. Also, the game was a blowout. Javel Mcgee at 4.1. I mean, most likely plays the backup 5. He's always, somebody you can consider in tournaments because he's a good point per minute guy. And if something happens to Ayton, if he gets in foul trouble, you could see Mcgee really smash. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the video. So again, if you haven't enjoyed the content, just make sure to hit the like button. Try to aim for 100 likes. Really appreciate all you guys' support. Everyone coming to check out videos every single day. Subscribe also if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. But thanks again, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see everyone